Hi, this is Ava from Ava Maria Crafts, and I'm going to show you how to use a loom today. I got two different size looms. You can use whatever size you want. I also got a needle. I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but that's what I call it. But this is what you're going to need with your loom. And I got a common skewer. I got a skewer because one time I couldn't find the needle, and so I learned how to use a skewer, which is just as good. And I also got some yarn. This is Big Twist. This is a new yarn that Joanne sells. Matter of fact, all of the items that I have came from Joanne's. This is not a sponsored video, but I just like you to know where I got these items from so that you can get them yourself. And I'll put the link to the description of these items below. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our loom. We are going to tie this yarn around the tip of the loom. And you're just making a simple knot because you don't want your yarn to go anywhere. So I have made a simple knot. So now all I'm going to do is take the yarn and just loop it around each peg. Let me do it again just to show you. I am looping the yarn around each peg. And you want to loop your loops toward the bottom of each peg. And you'll see why in a moment. Once we get all these loops looped around your peg, I'll show you step 2. And another thing I forgot to mention is you don't want your loops to be tight on your pegs. You don't want a lot of tension. And I'll show you the reason why. When I first started doing these looms, I didn't have anything but instructions. And I am someone who needs to visually see what I'm doing. I can read it all day, but unless someone shows me, I'm just one of those learners. You know, everybody learns differently. So now we're getting close to our starting point, which is the little notch in the front of the loom. See, now we're in our starting point. This is our yarn. We want to take it. You see, we're at the starting point. We're going to take our yarn and we're going to loop it at the top of our peg this time. We're going to do that same motion, but this time you're going to have 2 loops on each peg. You're going to have one at the bottom and one at the top. And let me show you a little closer so you can see. So now you have 2 loops, one at the bottom and one at the top. And if your loop is not at the bottom, it's fine, just push it down some. And we're going to continue that same motion all the way around. Okay, now we're getting close to our starting point. And so now you're going to grip your loom. See, this is where we started. And this is your 2 loops that you have. So now, this is why you don't want your yarn to be tight on your peg. Because you're going to be taking your bottom loop and putting it over your top loop. And if you can see, let's see if I can show you here. I'm going to struggle a little bit because I made my tension too tight on my pegs. But it's okay. We are going to overcome that. We're still going to take this bottom loop and put it over the top peg. So as you see, I pull back and I go over. And I know that you all can't see. I can't seem to get my camera straight here. But if you would have saw, it was hard for me to take that bottom loop and put it over the top. That's because I had it too tight. That was the reason I was saying don't make your yarn too tight on your peg, but it's okay, because once you get that tension over the top peg, you'll see that now it's easier for you to loop the rest of your loops over the pegs. You see how easy it's going? So we don't give up here. If you do make your yarn too tight on your peg where you have tight tension, don't worry about it, because once you get that tension off that first peg, it'll be easy to loop it around. So now I'm going to show you how I use a common skewer. I don't recommend you use a skewer, but if you can't find your needle, if you have any item that has a blunt tip, you can still use your loom. And the reason being is there is a groove in the loom. You see that groove? As long as you can get that blunt tip in that groove, you can still pull your yarn out and over the peg. And you can go about your business. Just pull it out and over your peg. I've even done it with a paper clip. So I'm not telling you to use any blunt item, but if you don't have your needle, don't be discouraged. There's always a household item around that you can use to still do your knitting. I'm just showing you what I use when I didn't have my needle. I'm just using a common household skewer. And I'm going to loop all the way around. And the needles, I don't know if I forgot to mention, the needles don't really cost that much. I actually have found them at Joann's, I want to say for $3.99. And Joann's often has a coupon that you can use, but you can get it cheaper. And I've also found those same needles, knitting needles. I'm not calling them the right thing, I know I'm not. But I don't have my package with me because I've had it for years. But Michael's even has them for $2.99. And you can use a coupon on those also. So anytime I find a coupon for knitting items, I'll make sure that I tell you all. And see, the skewer did just as good as the knitting needle. But I guess old habits are hard to break, so I'm going to go back to the skewer. So now I'm showing you how your yarn should look on your pegs. So now we're just going to repeat the same thing we did earlier, but this time you already have your bottom loop already on your peg. Now we're just going to be putting the top loop from here on out. And we're going to do that same motion, that same circular motion on each peg. I'm trying to go slow so I can show you exactly how to do it. And see, the problem I had at first, because I am a visual learner, when I started doing this with the loom, I couldn't tell how they were twisting the loops around the pegs. It was kind of confusing, and nobody really had any videos out at the time to show you how. So what I'm showing you is from trial and error. But now pretty much you can find a video showing you how to do that same technique, even different techniques. So you'll always know how to use the loom, and you'll have no problem making lots of craft projects. Okay, so now you see we are back to our starting point. And what I'm doing now is pulling my yarn down to the bottom of my plate. Remember I told you earlier that sometimes it doesn't land exactly how it's supposed to, but never fret. Just pull it down. That way you have your bottom loop, and you just continue the process. And that's how you use a loom. This is the basic technique you want to do for your loom. It's not the only technique. It's just one of the basic techniques. And I just thought I'd share this with everyone because, like I said, when I first started, I didn't have any starting point. I had to learn this on my own. So I'm not any way, form, or fashion a professional. I'm just a fellow crafter who likes to show little tidbits that I've learned over the years of how to make things. And so in the next video, I'm going to show you all how to complete a project using a loom. And you can make hats, you can make purses, you can make pretty much anything you can put your mind to with a loom. So this is where you should be now. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how to make a hat. And then I'll show you many other projects. So thank you for coming along on this journey. Again, this is Ava Maria Crafts.